Hi, welcome. In this tutorial video, I'm going to show you how to sketch a parabola. How do we go from an equation to a graph? All right, and there's a few steps we're going to follow here, but it's important to keep in mind the reasoning why we do each step. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start with this function, f of x equals x squared plus 4x minus 12. All right, if we're going to sketch this graph, we need to know the x-intercepts and the y-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, we plug in 0 for the y value. So we plug in 0 for the y value because we don't go up or down. On the x-axis, we haven't gone up or down. We're still at the y value is 0. So we replace f of x with 0, and we get x squared plus 4x minus 12. All right. Now, in order to solve an equation like this, we have to put it in factored form. And that means we've got to do some factoring. So we're going to factor like usual. If you need help on that, check out the tutorial video on factoring. So we place our x squared and our negative 12. And what we're not sure about is how do we place the 4x? We got to figure out how to split up the 4x. All right. So if you recall, Casey's pattern said whatever these two multiply to be, these two multiply to be. So if they multiply to be negative 12x squared, we've got to split our 4x up so that it multiplies to be negative 12x squared. All right. Now, these two values, the values we're looking for are 6x and negative 2x. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12, and 6 take away 2 is 4. So we've got 6x and negative 2x. All that's left now is to figure out the length and the width. X times x is x squared, x times 6 is 6x, and x times negative 2 is negative 2x. And just to double check, negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. So we can be confident that we factored this correctly. So we go back up. We've got our factored form now. We say 0 equals x plus 6 times x minus 2. We get that again from the area model. I'm looking at the outside edge, the length and the width. Okay, so now that we've factored this, we apply this zero product property, which says if the length times the width is 0, then either the length, x plus 6, is 0, or the width, x minus 2, is 0. One of these two factors has to be 0. So this tells us our x-intercepts are negative 6 and positive 2. All right, we're almost there. We just need our y-intercept now. And to find our y-intercept, we plug in 0 for x. And that's because on the y-axis, we haven't moved left or right. We're here where x is 0. So we plug it in, 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 12 gives us negative 12. And that is our y-intercept. Okay, so we've got the pieces we need, but let's kick this up a notch and let's find our axis of symmetry, because we know our axis of symmetry should be in the middle, halfway between negative 6 and positive 2. And halfway between negative 6 and positive 2 is negative 2. Visually, this should make sense, but if you're not sure, you can always average your x-intercepts. That means add them together and divide by 2. All right, so what happens on the left happens on the right of this line. So if this green dot is 2 units to the right of the line, I know that there should be a point 2 units to the left of that line. And that helps me get some symmetry going as well. All right, so I'm going to connect these with a smooth U-shaped curve. The only question is, how far down should I go? Do I go down this far, a little further? I'm not real sure, but again, this is just a sketch, so close counts. All right, and let's take a look and see how we did. Not too bad. The only part we were sure about was, again, how far down do we go? So if we want to figure out how far down to go, take your axis of symmetry value, which in this case was negative 2, right? The line x equals negative 2. And you plug this value into the equation f of x equals x squared plus 4x minus 12. And that would tell you your vertex and how low to go. All right, not bad. Join me for the next video and we'll talk about how to go from graph to equation.